Hey, Josh, I want to call the work session for Wednesday, October 11th. Or
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. We thought we would give just a really brief update on the work that we have undertaken since our design review committee retreat. I guess that was in June. Seems like longer ago than that, but I don't know. Yeah, I think it was in June. But since the retreat, we have taken the feedback we received during that, the conversation we had. We have engaged a consultant, Opticos Design, to undertake a first phase of the process. And what we've determined is that as a first phase, we will do a diagnosis and analysis of our current guidelines using both the conversations we had in the retreat and some further work that will be done by the consultants. The first phase will consist of some stakeholder and DRC member interviews. So they'll engage both community stakeholders and members of the committee in terms of the current guidelines, how they're working, what isn't working, and combine that with a site visit here in Boise where they will tour some projects, look at some successes, some maybe failures, or less of, I don't know, we have any failures here in Boise,
less than successful
projects. They'll take that, they will use that to develop a diagnosis document and recommendations about how the guidelines, probably some options in terms of how could the guidelines be modified to suit our needs and the needs of the new modern zoning code. I mean, that's another aspect of this, obviously, is that moving forward, we're gonna have a new code that's gonna have to mesh with these guidelines. We'll identify areas that must change and then some areas for improvement as well. And then they will combine all of these findings into a recommendation document at the end of this process. This first phase is anticipated to last about 6 months with our engagement with this consultant. After that, we'll determine what the appropriate steps are moving forward. I think this first phase is really going to inform what happens next. Is it a complete overhaul of the guidelines? Is it, is it we can tweak it here and there, and the framework is there, the framework is acceptable. So we'll really kind of get a feel for what the next phase of this process is going to look like through this first phase. So the end of this month, probably, I guess Halloween and stuff, but probably either at the very end of this month or the first week of October or of November, we'll look for those stakeholder interviews and that site visit to take place and get the process rolling. And again, about 6 months we're anticipating for this first phase. So super exciting. And any questions, any thoughts? Glad to see something happening after our little get together.
Excited for it.
Yeah. Okay, good. The second thing I'll mention is that we are planning on some modern zoning code training, for lack of a better term for you, some discussion around what's changing. How is your role changing as you become a commission? What does that mean? We're looking at the December committee meeting for that right now, right? It will be a commission at that point. So the December commission meeting. The reason that it's not super urgent to get that in front of you before the code goes into effect is that there is going to be a lag before you ever see a project under the new code. The new code has more comprehensive requirements before someone can ever submit. So there's a series of meetings and work that the applicant needs to go through. So realistically, we probably won't see any applications under the new code until March. So we figured get in front of you in December with some training and some updates on what the code really means. Could even come back in January and February if some further discussion was needed, and we'd still be ahead of whenever you would anticipate to see a project actually under the new code. So that's all I had. Any questions or?
No.
Okay, perfect. All right, yeah. Then we can run through the agenda real quick.
Sure. Let's do it.
So 5 items on the agenda tonight. One of them familiar. The first one has been deferred for a while. We are expecting to hear this next month at the November hearing, but they are requesting deferral tonight to that date specific meeting of November 8th. And again, we anticipate we will actually hear it in November. Item number 2, we will hear that one briefly for a discussion.
Josh,
Item number 3.
Can I-
Yep, go ahead.
is that due to the applicant wanting to talk about some conditions of approval that they might
it-
want to change a little bit or something?
It is, yeah. I
Okay.
believe so.
All right, cool. That's what I kind of figured.
Item number 3 we would propose for the consent agenda. Similarly, item number 4, we would propose for the consent agenda. Those are, 2 adjacent projects on the same street on Fry. And item number 5, very nearby on Victory, we would propose that for the consent agenda as well. So in summary, defer item number 1, hear item number 2, and then consent 3, 4, 5.
Thanks,
And
Josh.
with that, we'll see you here in a little bit.
Okay, thanks,
Okay,
Josh.
thank you.
I'd like to call the October 11th, 2023 Design Review Committee to order. Christina, can you please call the roll?
Simple,
Here.
Rudine,
Here.
Marsh,
Here.
Aguilar,
Here.
Zuckerman, Ersted. 4 present, 2 absent.
First item of business are minutes. We have minutes to approve from the September 13th, 2023 for the work session and the regularly scheduled meeting on the same day. This will be open for motion.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I move that we accept the September 13th minutes as written.
Second.
Okay, so moved second. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none. Christina, will you please call the roll?
Simple,
I,
Rudine,
Aye.
Marsh,
Aye.
Aguilar,
Aye.
Zucker, absent. All in favor, motion carries.
We have one item up for deferral tonight. That item is item number 1. It's DRH 23-00193. Location is on West Gowan Road. It's for the construction of 2 new warehouse buildings totaling approximately 410,000 square feet with associated site improvements on a property in an M1D zone. Are there any members of the public audience wishing to speak to this item who cannot make the November 8th deferral date? Seeing none in person, none online. Josh, that concludes our items for deferral, and I'd be open for a motion.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I move that we defer DRH 23-00193 to the November 8th, 2023 meeting.
Second.
Moved and second. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none. Christina, will you please call the roll?
Simple,
I,
Rudine,
Aye.
Marsh.
Aye.
Aguilar,
Aye.
all in favor, motion carries.
Thank you very much. We have 3 items to be considered on our consent agenda tonight. The first item is item number 3. It's DRH 23-00304. It's on South Fry Street. It's for the construction of a new approximately 84,750 square foot industrial building and associated site improvements on a property in an M1D zone. Is the applicant present? Please let the record show the applicant is present, and are you in agreement with the recommended conditions of approval? Let the record show the applicant is in agreement. Are there any members of the public wishing to testify in opposition to this item? Seeing none in person, any online, Josh? Nope. Then this item will be moved to our consent agenda. Next item for consideration will be item number 4. It's DRH 23-00305. It's on 2674 South Fry Street. It's for the construction of a new approximately 88,000 square foot industrial building and associated site improvements on a property in an M1D zone. Again, is the applicant present? Yeah, please let the record show the applicant is present. And are you in agreement with the recommended conditions of approval? Please let the record show that the applicant is in agreement. And are there any members of the public wishing to testify in opposition to this item, either in person or online? Seeing none in person and none online. This item will be moved to the consent agenda. Last one is item number 5. Item number 5 is DRH 23-00306. Location is 6550 West Victory Road It's for the construction of a new approximately 30,000 square foot industrial building and associated site improvements on the property in an M1D zone. Is the applicant present? Is that the record show the applicant is present? Are you in agreement with the recommended conditions of approval? Record show the applicant is in agreement. And are there any members of the public wishing to testify in opposition to this item in person or online? Seeing none in person and none online. And that concludes our items to be considered for tonight's consent agenda, and I'd be open for a motion.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Reedy.
I move that we approve the consent agenda items DRH 23-00304, DRH 23-00305, and DRH 23-00306.
Thank you.
Second.
So moved and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, Christina, you please call the roll.
Simple,
Aye.
Rudine,
Aye.
Marsh,
Aye.
Aguilar,
Aye.
all in favor, motion carries.
The first item to be heard on tonight's agenda here is item number 2, is DRH 23-00307. Location is 3176 East Barber Valley Drive. And with that, I'll turn it over to you, Caitlin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and committee members. This is an application for a new multi-tenant commercial building located at 3176 East Barber Valley Drive. The zoning is SPO2, which is the Barber Valley Specific Plan District. The building is located off a shared access drive from Barber Valley Drive, and the site does not have public street frontage. The building is located toward the north of the site with a parking area along the south shared drive. On the south elevation, each tenant space features storefront with primary entries, and the materials consist of wood look fiber cement, gray ribbed metal panel, and light gray ephes. There are a couple of changes we are proposing from the recommended conditions in your project packet. Originally, the applicant was going to construct a pathway along the north of the site in the blue highlighted area. Due to some grading and utility challenges, we are recommending the applicant instead provide an easement for the future pathway to be constructed. And then as part of this project, construct a southern sidewalk, which is that yellow highlighted area. And we believe the applicant is in agreement with this recommendation. In order to reflect that change, we would propose the design review committee accept that updated site plan and modify condition D to say prior to issuance of construction permits, provide a recorded easement allowing construction and public use of a future sidewalk along the north property line as indicated on the site plan approved at the October 11th, 2023 design review hearing. And then add condition G, construct a minimum 5-foot wide sidewalk adjacent to the southern shared access drive as indicated on the site plan approved at the October 11, 2023 design review hearing. And with that, I can stand for any questions or the applicant team is available.
Great. Thanks, Caitlin. Questions from staff and committee at this point? Seeing none. Thank you. Would the applicant like to come forth and talk about their project? If you would, please state your name and address for the record. I don't think so.
Tucker Anderson, 800 West Main Street, Suite 940, Boise, Idaho, 83702. So as Caitlin mentioned, the project's for a multi-tenant building, about 10,300 square feet. We've architecturally broken the building up to give each tenant their own kind of presence on the street. And we did this through the massing and material changes. We've gone ahead and provided a sense of entry, either with covered canopies or kind of projecting elements that provide a little bit of cover at those front doors. Materials are, like Caitlin mentioned, complementary to the area, but they're a little bit different. I don't think I've seen them in that area. So we're not just kind of taking something and morphing it. We've created our own kind of look to the building. We're right on the kind of creek or wetlands area right to the north of the site, as mentioned. And as part of that, we've created patio spaces either at the back of the space for the different tenants or the westernmost tenant has a space on the side for outdoor patio if they ends up being like a kind of a fast casual restaurant. And so we really wanted to take advantage of the exterior site. As mentioned, we are okay with the conditions of approval on the project. And as mentioned in the letter of intent, we're working with a number of tenants that will complement the area, restaurant, Pilates, and then hopefully an anchor tenant that will take advantage of that larger western covered patio area on the north or northeastern corner of the project on the rear.
Great, thank you. Just to clarify, you're in agreement with the revised conditions as stated earlier by
Yes.
staff. Thank you very much. Any questions for the applicant from the committee? Great, thank you much. Are there any other members of the public wishing to testify on this item tonight? Seeing none in person, any online, Josh? Applicant have any other additional items they want to say? Okay, with that, we'll close the public portion of the testimony, bring it back to the committee for discussion and a motion.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Ms. Reading.
It looks to me like the project is as it should be, and they're in agreement with the site-specific conditions. So I would like to go ahead and make a motion. I guess we can debate that motion afterwards if somebody does disagree with it. But I move that we approve DRH 23-00307 as recommended in the facts, findings, and conclusions of law in the project staff report, including modifications to item D as noted in the staff presentation and the inclusion of item G as included in the staff presentation.
So moved
Second.
and seconded. Thank you. Discussion on the motion. Seeing none. Christina, will you please call the roll?
Simple,
Aye.
Rudine,
Aye.
Marsh,
Aye.
Aguilar,
Aye.
all in favor, motion carries.
Thank you very much. And with that, we are adjourned.